Hey guys, another video on angles. We're going to talk about supplementary angles and what those mean today. So let me give you kind of the basics here. So supplementary angles have to do with the 180 degree angle. Remember, if you have a perfectly straight line and you wanted to measure it angle-wise, you wanted to measure the angle is 180 degrees. From here to here, it's called 180. If you're on your snowboard and you do a 180, it's when you're going from left foot first to right foot first. So you've done that full turn, that 180 turn. That's what this is, 180 degrees. But supplementary angles are when you take 180 and you split it up. So very similar to complementary, we're going to take a line and just split this thing. And what we've done is we still have 180 degrees, but now we split it into like two sections. We have this part here, this angle in this little corner, and then we have this angle over here. And the two angles together make 180. That's what supplementary angles are, two angles that add up to 180. So a little definition for our notes here. The definition of supplementary is it's two angles whose sum make 180. So I'm going to write two angles that add together and make 180 degrees. Two angles that add together and make 180 degrees. And we can solve for these angles, lots of different ways. If we understand that two of them add up to 180, then it kind of helps us do some solving. So let's try some solving problems. I'm going to scoot this down a little bit. Let's do this. Imagine we have a straight line. So here's our 180 angle. And then we took it and we drew an angle off of it, a line off of it. We've now created two angles. I'm going to tell you that this angle in this corner measures 120 degrees. It's this obtuse big angle. And then this one, I'm not sure, question mark. I'm a little unclear. Well, if I'm unsure, in algebra we like to use a variable. So I'm going to call this angle x. I don't know what x is. But what I do know is if I take x plus the 120 degree angle, it's on a flat line together. So it's got to add up to 180. I know that for a fact, so I can easily solve for x. I'll take the 120 away to the other side. And 180 take away 120 is 160. So, not 160, 60. That'd be way too big. So we get our answer. X is equal to 60. Now I know what the angle is. This angle over here is a 60 degree angle. And if I need to double check it, it's a quick check. Watch this. Here's my check. I know that these two angles are on the same flat line together. They're on this big flat line. So I know they have to make 180. So if I take the 120 and I add it to the 60, as long as it adds up to 80, I'm good to go. So 0 plus 0 is 0, 2 plus 6 is 8, 1 plus nothing is 1. I got 180. Check. And now I know my answer is for sure correct. And of course, these can get a little bit more complicated, but the big idea here is I want you to remember the word supplementary, and I want you to remember that if you have a flat line, the two angles on it are going to add up to 180. It's really important that we try to remember that. So let's try another problem, maybe make it a little bit more complicated, but still similar situation. I'm going to have this flat line, looks like this, but I'm going to divide this up with another line, so maybe something that looks like this. Now I see a supplementary situation. I see two angles, one of them's here and one of them's here, and I notice that those two angles together are going to make 180. So now I'm going to tell you that this angle over here measures x plus 10. And I'm going to tell you this angle over here has a measurement of 100 degrees. Okay, I'm pretty sure we could solve for x. So I'm going to kind of break this problem into two questions. I'm going to have a part A and a part B. Part A is solve for x. Find the variable, which I know we can do. But part B is going to be find the missing angle. Find the missing angle. find the missing angle. This is the missing angle. We do not know its measurement. So this is what it's talking about. But to find that angle, we do need to know what x is first. So here's what we do know. We know the 100-degree angle plus the x plus 10 all goes together on a flat line. So all together it has to be 180. And how do we know that? Well, we know that because they're supplementary. So if I put a line down this equal sign down the middle, I can totally solve for x real fast. I will take this 10 away to the other side. 100 degrees plus x is equal to 180. Take away 10 is 170. And then I'll just take this 100 away to the other side. And I'm going to have x equals, I'll get rid of these. X is going to equal 170 minus 100. So x is going to equal 70. There we go. So we just solved for x. We have the answer for part A. Said solve for x. Well, x is equal to 70 is the answer we just got. But we haven't solved for B yet. We haven't found the missing angle. This is the missing angle, x plus 10. Now x is 70, or so we think. So now we have to do 70 plus 10. 70 plus 10 is 80. So our missing angle is 80 degrees. And we can easily check our answer and see if that's right. Here's my check. I'm going to write check. The two angles are supposed to make 180. This angle and this angle together. So this is 100. Plus, we just measured this one and we said 70 plus 10 is 80. And sure enough, 100 plus 80 is 180. Total check. It adds up to the 180. It proves it, and it's supplementary. Now, sometimes you'll get these problems and you'll be asked to justify your answer. Prove it. Tell me how you know you're right. Well, this is how I know I'm right. All supplementary angles, all angles that land on a line like this, add up to 180. So as long as everything checks out and I get 180, then I know I'm doing these problems correct. So we have complementary angles and we have supplementary angles. I hope you watched the video before on complementary. Complementary are the angles that add up to 90. Supplementary are the angles that add up to 180. Now, what usually I see students do is after I teach this, like 3 months later when they're trying to remember these problems again, they forget what the words mean. They remember kind of what they mean, but they also forget. So I'm going to write this down. Complementary and supplementary. You can come up with lots of strategies to remember this, but complementary are angles that add up to 90 degrees, and supplementary are angles that add up to 180 degrees. So complementary, we're talking about perfect 90-degree angles that get split up, and supplementary, we're talking about straight lines, perfect 180s that get split up. Very similar, but different nonetheless. The way I kind of remember it, so because I used to get these words switched in my head, I'd be like supplementary, is that the 90 or the 180? I can't remember. Well, here's how I remember it. I think of it in alphabetical order. C for complementary is first in the alphabet before S. So if you're doing your A, B, C, D, E, F, G, C is going to come first before the S. Well, 90 is smaller than 180, so if I'm putting my numbers in order, 90 comes first before the 180. I know it's kind of a weird way to remember it, but 90 is earlier than the 180 when you're counting. C comes before S when you're doing your alphabet. So C and 90 go together, complementary and 90, and supplementary and 180. Kind of a weird way. I hope that made sense the way I explained it, but that's just my way of how I get it stuck in my head. You got to come up with something, because I guarantee you'll watch this video, you'll totally understand it. Months from now, you'll go to do a problem and you'll be like, dang it, which one was it? Complementary or supplementary? Which one makes 90? So I just remember alphabetical order. C is first in the alphabet, and 90 is first in the numbers. So C and 90 go together. I don't know, that's my strategy. I hope this video helped, and continue to keep watching more. Thanks.